Hey everyone, so today I'll be covering my Catacombs Cups. Overall, it's been a pretty good month for me. I actually didn't drop a single round in any of the 3 tournaments I did. I think a big reason that was the team I made, so I'll talk a little bit about the strategies behind it, but overall, I think that Catacombs is a pretty decent meta. It's a lot less lead dependent than some of the previous ones. Getting into this match, I am going in with my Zweilous, and so Zweilous does decent against Frostlass in 2 shields, so I'm pretty much just going to try to win switch advance right here with Zweilous, and I went in with Zweilous, Sudowoodo, and Jumpluff. So really Sudowoodo and Jumpluff are going to do terrible against Frostlass. So what I realized in this situation is as long as I win, or as long as I get rid of this Frostlass, I'll be in a pretty good spot. So at this point, I'm committed to just farming down with Dragon Breath, and now I have quite a bit of energy on this Zweilous, so this is pretty good. And then they're going to come in with Vespiquen. Vespiquen is okay. It's actually pretty tough for my team to deal with, especially in the lead. So luckily, my opponent did not lead with Vespiquen. And the big reason behind that is because Vespiquen with shields, especially in the lead, can beat pretty much everything on my team. So the best situation a lot of times is leading with my own Vespiquen. So I actually noticed right here that it looks like my opponent's actually running Air Slash Vespiquen, so that's something for me to know in case I had to run a mirror later. But that does make it a little bit more favorable against some of my matchups, so just keeping that in mind. And then now they're going to come in with the Jumpluff. My own Jumpluff has full health, so this is going to be able to clean up. So yeah, so that's really the biggest issue with my team, is that I don't really have a true Vespiquen counter. However, I do go against quite a few Vespiquen teams in this tournament, so definitely stay tuned for that. And also, big shout out to Denmark for hosting this tournament and inviting me to be a part of it. They ran a really efficient tournament, especially for one that's taking place over the course of a month rather than a live one. Alright, so in this first situation, definitely not a great matchup. I was kind of hoping to see Frostlass or Lapras, so that way Victory Bell can take care of it, or even Sudowoodo is fine. So Victory Bell is kind of a spicy pick, but ends up being okay in some situations. So now I had to come in with Victory Bell, and I'm not going to shield this first one because Victory Bell can tank a Rock Slide, but it's going to be pretty close to getting fainted out. And then here I'm going to bring in my Umbreon just because I don't want to get farmed, and then I'm going to try to pretty much win this matchup with just Umbreon with the shield advantage. It's going to be very tough though, because Vespiquen is actually pretty solid, but like I said before, noticing that it was Air Slash Vespiquen instead of Fury Cutter or Bug Bite, I have a little bit better of a matchup. And then it's just Umbreon overall, just a really bulky pick, and I would say in this tournament, Umbreon, Vespiquen, and Sudowoodo were definitely my 3 MVPs. I used them a lot in most of my tournaments, or most of my matches. And you'll see that though this match is taking place earlier on in the month, my strategy kind of develops a little bit more throughout the month. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, absorb the charge move damage. And so that actually ends up being pretty huge. And then now I'm going to try to win this matchup. It's going to be very tough, but like I said, without Fury Cutter or Bug Bite, this is a more positive matchup for Umbreon. Air Slash definitely has some benefits to it, such as winning the mirror and doing real well against the grass types as well, especially Venusaur. So definitely still a solid move set. All right, so going into round 2, I'm leading Vespiquen, and I have Sudowoodo in the back and Jumpluff in the back as well. So really this is a great matchup for me because I just need to get rid of this Venusaur, and I have a lot more leeway in the back line. Alright, so they bring in Zweilous, which isn't great against Vespiquen, but I'm going to save my Vespiquen for the Venusaur. So at this point I can go straight counter down, and even if it was Dark Pulse I wouldn't have to worry about it. Now I have quite a bit of energy, and I end up running Stone Edge on my Sudowoodo, and the main reason behind this is because Earthquake you don't really need, because Rock does pretty much neutral or super effective against most things in this cup. I realized that you don't really need Earthquake in a lot of matchups, and with that extra stab damage of Stone Edge, it ends up doing really well. Alright, so I'm going to come in here, probably just farm down with my Vespiquen. I'm going to shield this, even if it's a Frenzy Plant, just because I don't want to really take that gamble. They're going to throw another charge move. At this point, I realize it's probably going to be another Frenzy Plant, so I'm going to let that go. And then they quickly swap into their own Vespiquen. And then have to be careful because this Air Slash is going to chunk away. I'm going to drop the Power Gem, and this will put me really far ahead. And then I just need to drop one Aerial Ace, and I should be fine. Oh yeah, actually no. This one's actually not air slash because I realized it's a different opponent. Yeah, so they're running Fury Cutter there, which makes a little bit more sense because I think my Vespiquen wouldn't have been able to survive if it was air slash for long enough to get off the power gem. And then going to take it out with Jump Off right here. I kind of like Jump Off because it does have a decent move against Vespiquen, but looking back on it, I think Venusaur is probably the better grass just because it can actually hang pretty well against Vespiquen by just dropping the Sludge Bombs. And Jump Off just has a lot of weaknesses to Ice especially, and there's always going to be plenty of Ice in this tournament. Alright, so definitely a tricky matchup right here, just because this Lapras I really can't counter swap to Sudowoodo right away, but they do let the Energy Ball go, which puts me in a pretty good spot. And then now I'm going to drop these Aerial Aces, and then this Jump Off is so tanky that even if there's an X-Scissor, it'll probably survive. Oh no, maybe not. Okay, well, sometimes it can survive if it had a little bit more health. But because it is taking neutral from bug damage, you really want to land the Power Gems if you can, unless you need to finish off with X-Scissor. So in that situation, it was a good call by my opponent. Alright, so I'm going to over farm a little bit here, and then drop the Rock Slide, and they don't shield, so that's pretty good. And then now they come in with their Venusaur, very low on health at the moment for Vespiquen, but it just resists the grass damage by with the bug typing and the flying typing, so it ends up just being a really solid counter to Venusaur. They go for a quick sack swap, it didn't work out, and then now I have the X-Scissor to finish it off. Oh, actually no, they had still a shield left, but at this point they're almost within counter down range, but I should be able to get their Rock Slide first, and then take it out right there. So yeah, so even with losing that lead, I was still able to kind of maneuver around it. And going to round 3, I'm going to go in with Vespiquen lead. And so like I said, Vespiquen actually against Sudowoodo is actually really solid because as long as you invest 2 shields, you actually end up beating Sudowoodo by quite a bit. Mainly because these counters are resisted and they're not going to be able to land a charge move on you. And so if you play this right, and I don't think I played this one right because I think it was the first time I actually matched up against a Sudowoodo in an actual tournament here, so I wasn't super familiar with the matchup yet. But what you should do is shield and don't throw the X-Scissor right away. So I threw it right away, and because that, you know, I can't farm nearly as much, but what you should do is farm a little bit more and then drop the X-Scissor. And then, so they're going to come in with Lapras right here. The Surface is not going to be able to take me out, but it's going to do quite a bit of damage. And then, so I'm going to bring in, or drop the Power Gem right here. I do have Jump Off in the back, so that's something I have to worry about. And I didn't really want to lose Switch advantage here, so that's why I decided to bring in my Umbreon after, and then probably tank this. I thought it was going to be a Skull Bash, but it ends up being Surf, and that's fine. And then, this is kind of a tricky situation, to be honest, because well, these Power Gems are going to hurt. And then Vespiquen is very good against Umbreon, so it's actually kind of a tricky situation for me. And so, like I said, Jump Off is okay, but I don't know. I think looking back on it, Venusaur might have been a little bit better. So they end up going for the X-Scissor, and that ends up meaning that I could get a little bit more damage off of them, but these bullet punches aren't really, or seed bombs, or seed, what are they, seed bombs? No, they're not seed bombs. Bullet Seeds, sorry. Couldn't remember fast enough. They don't do that much damage to Vespiquen. Luckily, I was able to string together 2 foul plays, and then I'm going to drop this last one and take out the Lapras. Even if it was a Skull Bash, I'd probably be able to take it out. So yeah, so it worked out right there. Despite what most of you might see as a kind of a losing lead with Vespiquen and Sudowoodo, it kind of operates a lot like Frostlass and Sorcerer's Cup, where you can overcome some bad matchups like against Alolan Muk and 2 shields. Alright, so another really bad lead right here. Seems like using Victory Bell has just been really rough, and honestly, it might be better just for shield pressure. Or bench pressure. But I go and try to drop the Stone Edge, and my opponent actually shields right there, so that's actually pretty interesting. And then I'm going to bring in my Vespiquen right here, and just try to do as much as I can. But like I said, Venusaur is actually a really solid pick, because you can't really farm it down with Fury Cutter right here. So I'm going to have to drop a charge move right here and try to take it out. But I do know that I'm coming from pretty far behind, and then they bring in the Lapras, then they have the Vespiquen. Yeah, not a great situation. Something else to note is I ended up bringing Acid Spray on my Victory Bell, and I would not recommend Acid Spray because it's just not doing enough. Sludge Bomb would have been much better in that situation, and I don't know if I would have been able to win it either way, but surprising my opponent doesn't shield. I have to drop the Power Gem anyway, so I'm going to drop it right here. But at this point, it's a little too late. I need way too much energy to take out this Lapras. Best thing I could do is go for a bait and then drop the Power Gem, but it's just not going to be enough. Alright, so going into match number 3, I'm going to go Vespiquen Mirror. And so they're also running Fear Cutter, so we're going to get to this Power Gem at the same time. I go for a bait, and they're going for the actual Power Gem, so I'm hoping to get their shield right here. This would be huge if I do, because then I'll have a pretty significant lead right here, and then I'm going to go for another bait. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I was anticipating potentially swapping out, but now they go for their X-Scissor, but I'm still ahead at this point. And then I'm going to bring in my Umbreon right here. Did they use a shield over there? I don't know. I thought they didn't, but I guess I did double bait with X. I just realized they had no shields. I thought I didn't bait out the shield, but maybe I did. Maybe I did. So Umbreon against Sudowoodo is actually a solid matchup with shields down. And then they're going to take me out right here, but now this means I could just farm up even more with my Vespiquen. So I'm going to do that. Oh, actually, we're bringing Zweilous. They might bring in their Vespiquen, we'll see, but it just really depends on what they have in the back. So they're going to drop their energy right here, which is good, because now I can swap into my Vespiquen and take him out with Power Gem. And I don't have to worry about any potential Power Gem from them. And then now I can drop a Power Gem right here before they get to Surf. And then they really have to get to Skull Bash to really take me out on my Zweilous. But my Zweilous already has a little bit of energy, and then I should be able to get to Body Slam before they can get to their charge move. And I'm going to take them out right there. Alright, so going into round number 4, I'm going in with Sudowoodo, Umbreon, and Zweilous. And so this is actually a very interesting team. Definitely a spicy team indeed. From what I hear, this is Denmark's top spice player, so always fun to go into. But big thing that I'm worried about is Drapion. It's a huge counter to my team. Really, my best option and only really reliable option is Sudowoodo, so that's why I led with it, because a lot of people like to lead with Drapion. However, something that made me think about this is Beedrill probably has a very similar matchup to Sudowoodo as Vespiquen does, as long as you shield, you can still win in 2 shields, and with Drill Run. And so I kind of had a feeling, so I ended up swapping out. I never actually simmed it before this, but I was like, if I lose my only Drapion counter right here, then it's going to be a bad situation. So I ended up swapping out, and they dropped the Felsinger, and now I'm going to just keep dropping Last Resorts, hoping to just take this down as much as possible. I go for a quick swap, trying to counter down, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get to it. So maybe probably a misplay by me, because then I get hit by the Aqua Tail, so that's like a half health Sudowoodo that just didn't get much value out of it. And then now I'm in a really tricky situation, because both of my Pokemon in the back are weak to Beedrill. So I'm going to just stay in this matchup. It's not terrible, to be honest, but they're farming up quite a bit of energy with a little Graveler right here. And I'm going to just come in with my Zweilous just to avoid them farming too much. They're probably going to hit me with a Stone Edge right here. It's going to hurt quite a bit. Yep, quite a bit of damage. And then, unfortunately, get to a little CMP tie. I don't know if Bison would have been enough there, but it doesn't really matter either way. Was taken out. So, Beedrill, kind of an issue. So I end up going in with Vespiquen. Ooh, terrible lead. So I end up going to a quick swap to Umbreon. Umbreon does okay against Drapion just because it's kind of bulky, and I don't really have to worry about shielding anything, even if it's getting boosted Ice Fangs. I should be able to hang in for quite a bit. And then this way I could potentially, I was hoping they would swap out so I could match my Sudowoodo up with their Drapion, but ended up not really working out. So I'm just stay in this matchup. It's not the worst case in the situation, just because Umbreon isn't really super effective against anything on my opponent's team. It just does a lot of neutral. So right here I'm going to let this go, and then I'm probably going to start farming up with Sudowoodo. So I do that. They're down a shield too, so that's actually a pretty good situation for me. And let's just see what they have in the back. So it's Cradily. Like I said, not much really resists rock type here. So it's going to do quite a bit of neutral right there. And then I was hoping to go for a swap, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. But now I'm going to go for a swap with Vespiquen and just go Fury Cutter and then drop the Exorcist before they can drop a charge move. So this gives me quite a bit of energy lead on my Vespiquen. And then Beedrill, Vespiquen's really good against just because it walls off all of Beedrill's moves besides the Poison Jab, and I'll see what take it out right there. So thinking about that, I was like, okay, I need to really bring Vespiquen, even though they have a lot of Vespiquen counters on their team. But the big thing is I need to get rid of that Beedrill, and that's my best counter. This ends up being a really good lead win situation, and they go for the Stone Edge, so that's actually really solid. Unfortunately, I overfarmed a little bit and got a little greedy, so we CMP tied there. I'm going to undercharge this so I could get a few more counters off, or just one more counter off, and then I'm going to try to drop a Rock Slide on this Beedrill as soon as possible. That way I'll force a shield from them. Doesn't really matter if this Beedrill really farms me down too much because I still have the Vespiquen. And then CMP again. Man, a lot of CMPs in this tournament. Doesn't really matter though. I'm not too worried because I got the Vespiquen. They can do whatever they want. I'm just going to farm up energy. And then I'm going to drop Exorcist to just soften up this Drapion. And then I'm going to come in with my Umbreon. Ensure that I really win this matchup. And then seal the deal right there. So they're going to just throw their Fell Slingers. I'm just going to start dropping Last Resort. So what I'm doing right here is charging up a little extra energy because I'm anticipating that they might swap out. But I don't think that's going to be the case, actually, because I don't think this Drapion will survive long enough for that. But it is always good to charge up a little bit extra in a matchup you're positive in, just in case they go for a swap. So, like I said, they're going for a swap right here. Not too bad. And then I'm going to go swap in with my Vespiquen. Got a little greedy. I probably could just drop the Power Gem. So at that point, I'm just going to decide to drop an Exorcist, which maybe wasn't the best idea. Because now, I mean, it's very resisted by the Beedrill too. And then so now I'm forced to drop a shield, which is making this matchup way closer than it has to be. But I recognize that I'm close to another Exorcist, so I'm going to charge up a little bit more and then drop it right there before I take too much damage from these Ice Veins. And then able to win the match. So GG's right there. Now going to round 5, I'm going against one of my buddies and close friends, Palmer's Up. Very great battler, and we're both undefeated at this moment. Yeah, so a big thing I was worried about was Sableye because it is pretty solid against Vespiquen. It's definitely a spicier pick. Blossom I wasn't too worried about, and he ended up winning lead with Lapras, which was definitely favorable for him, and he's going to drop the Rock Slide and then drop another Rock Slide here too. So very smart by him, otherwise I would have been able to force a shield. But now I know Palmer's is pretty much energy dry, so I could just go straight farm down and have close to a Power Gem. I'm going to drop the Power Gem as soon as possible and then swap to my Sudowoodo right here. And let's see, he is going to drop a Surf. I think I let this go just because I'm anticipating if it's a Venusaur afterward, I don't really want to deal with that. So he ends up being a Beedrill, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a interesting situation. Kind of making a mistake right here though. End up shielding. I don't really know why, and I over farm too. So now I'm actually putting myself in a worse situation than I need to be in. So I'm trying to charge up 2 Rock Slides, but I realized I can't even get to that. So I just made this matchup a lot harder for me than it needed to be, because 2 Shield Vespiquen against a Beedrill and a Lapras would be a pretty good situation. But luckily I was able to get the Power Gem and finish off this matchup. I think this is not going to be able to take me out if it's a Surf. Yeah, I'm going to have a little bit sliver of health left. So definitely played that risky. I should have just let the Sudowoodo go and just finish off with 2 Shield Vespiquen, but gave him a slight opening. He ends up going again into the same lead, and so I'm like, okay, this is not great, but hopefully I can outplay the bad lead again. And so I'm going to safe swap into my Umbreon again, and then he has Sudowoodo. What I'm really worried about is if he has the Grass in the back instead of Beedrill this time. So let's see what happens right there. So pretty much playing out exactly the same. This is a completely different match, even if it doesn't look like it. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to farm down with Fury Cutter right here. And then I think he was a little bit quicker on the switcher. He let more damage go through because I can't get the Power Gem as quickly. I go for a bait this time, hoping that he'll at least draw a shield. He ends up not shielding, so very great call by him. And then here comes the Venusaur. So now this is a pretty tricky situation. I'm going to drop the Stone Edge. He does shield, so that puts me even further behind. I believe I just let this Sudowoodo go at this point because there's no way I can outpace it. So now I'm in a really tough situation. This Lapras is pretty much at full health with some energy as well. I am going to have to shield the Sludge Bomb because if I don't, I could just probably get Ice Sharded down by the Lapras. I'm going to farm up just a little bit more, but I already know this is a very tough situation because one shield apiece Lapras versus Vespiquen is not great. I'm going to have to shield right here. He ends up going for a Skull Bash too, so yeah, really trying to seal this deal. He doesn't even shield, which is wild. So I don't know. Those are some insane bait calls. Yeah. I mean, I guess he would have survived the Power Gem anyway, but very interesting play by him. So we are going to round number 3. I'm going with Vespiquen, Umbreon, and Zweilous this time, anticipating that he might bring in Sableye. So again, Vespiquen the lead against Sudowoodo, not so bad. Just because this is going to be a situation where I could win as long as I go to 2 shields, and I am committed to doing that. So I'm going to commit to 2 shields right here and then see what he does. He ends up swapping out actually because I think he realized that this is not a great matchup. And then so I'm going to go straight Power Gem right here into this Beedrill. Best thing about this situation is that because Beedrill counters both Umbreon and Zweilous, I know that I'm getting rid of 2 of his top counters. And then so the only real thing I have to worry about is the Sudowoodo in the back, but he just pretty much expended most of Sudowoodo's health. So I really got rid of both of the top counters to my back line right off the bat. And then I go in quickly for X's right here to do some chip damage on the Lapras. I'm going to let this go, bring in the Umbreon. I was kind of anticipating that it was either maybe Sableye in the back or a Venusaur's, but either way, Umbreon's going to do great against both of those. So I am down a shield, but with Umbreon spamming this, I could really spam out a lot of these attacks. I was anticipating a Skull Bash, so I'm going to shield that, because that's pretty huge, because now I negated a lot of damage, and now I'm going to keep dropping these foul plays. Yeah, and even though he has another shield up, it doesn't matter. This Umbreon's very bulky. It could tank a Skull Bash pretty well. And we'll probably drop a foul play right after this. Yep, drop a foul play, and I'm thinking about switching straight to Zweilous to get some extra energy. And I know they can't get to a Skull Bash in time, and then they bring in Sudowoodo. He was able to take it out. So GG's to my friend Palmer's right there. And then going into the final round, so we're both 5-0 at this point. I think I might have said 5-0 for the last round with Palmer's. We were both 4-0 last time. Now we're both 5-0 for this one with my opponent right here. I'm going in with Vespiquen, Sudowoodo, and Umbreon. And Jump Off versus Sudowoodo, or versus Vespiquen is not the greatest matchup at times for Vespiquen, just because those aerial aces still definitely hurt, and you really have to land the Power Gems to ensure you win. So kind of a tricky one. But yeah, so we're in an interesting situation right here. I am going to shield to ensure that I try to win switch. However, I think my opponent, I'm not sure if he shields or not. So he doesn't shield. And then now he comes in with Jump Bluff. And so I'm going to come in with my Umbreon right here, absorb all this energy. The big thing is, and so I come in now with Vespiquen. Unfortunately, I should have probably just dropped the X-Scissor, thinking that he expended all their energy already, but unfortunately it was not enough. And then I'm going to drop the X-Scissor. Now we're both down shields. I go straight for the Power Gem. I'm like, not messing around here. I know they had to go for a Power Gem to take me out, and then fortunately I was able to land it. So and then you have to finish off the X-Scissor. I think my opponent realized that it was overriding, so that's why they chose not to shield. Alright, so I go in with the same lineup again this time. Vespiquen, Sudowoodo, and Umbreon, hoping that it's going to be a pretty solid matchup again. And I think this is playing out very similarly than last time, just like last time. But the big thing is my team is weak to Vespiquen with shields up. So what I really try to do in these matchups is burn at least their shield, so that way my Sudowoodo has a chance against a Vespiquen. So at this point, I'm in a tricky situation. I'm going to let this Aerial Ace go, and then they quickly swap to Lapras, kind of like a mirror matchup as last time. However, the problem right now is I'm going to shield this, but if they have a Vespiquen in the back, I'm kind of in a tricky situation with my Umbreon. And so I think they realize that as well. So I'm going to let this Surf go, or actually I don't. I guess I just go straight for try to stay on an energy advantage. And they end up double shielding. And this is why Lapper is actually really solid for this cub. Even though Subaru's is counter, it should do pretty well. Yep, and so it's going to be same lineup, but my opponent actually played this really well, especially after losing the first time around. They adjusted and went in with the same lineup and found a way to win it. So this is definitely going to a game 3. I am in kind of a tricky situation right here. But yeah, there's no way I could really win this one. I'm going to try to drop the foul play. But unfortunately, I think I was a little late to it, which might have been a misclick by me. And then this Vespiquen's not going to be enough. They still have the other 2 Pokemon still alive too, so it's not really a close game. All right, so going into this last matchup, final match of the final round, I'm going with Sudowoodo, Vespiquen, and Umbreon. Unfortunately, it was a very bad lead for me, so I'm going to tank this charge move. The big thing with Umbreon is you can just tank the charge move and be okay. I'd rather have the energy for later, so they're going to bring in their Vespiquen, and so this is pretty solid for me because, like I said, Vespiquen is a huge threat to my team. So if I could get rid of this as soon as possible, then that's going to be pretty solid. I'm going to let this go because I know I can't win this matchup anyway. But at least I'm hoping to force some shields or put it down into counter range. And so I can't do that. But I'm going to let this Exorcist go. And then now I'm going to bring my Sudowoodo and counter it down. Now I have quite a bit of energy. So I'm going to try to drop the Rock Slide, see how much I could do, if they shield or not. They end up not shielding, so I tried to catch potentially an Energy Ball, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do it. And then I'm going to drop the Power Gem right here. I'm still in a really tough situation, but they let that go. So, kind of interesting. So I'm going to let this Surf go, and then I go in with another Power Gem and see if I can just land it. I was able to land it, so that's actually pretty solid. Yeah, I'm trying to think what I was really thinking at this moment. So, oh no, these are interesting plays, just looking back on it. So I do end up shielding the Aerialist because I know these Bullet Seeds are going to do like literally nothing to Vespiquen. Look at how much damage I can still pull off with this. And I know that this jump off so low on health at this point, I could just go straight counter down with Sudowoodo and was able to finish off the match. Like I said, you don't really have to win the lead scenario to win matchups in Catacombs. I think with certain energy advantage and with a lot of neutral matchups, you really can do pretty well. I want to say a big thank you and shout out to Sylph Arena for hosting these Cubs. This is the last one of season 2, and overall it's been a pretty fun season, especially because we had to go into lockdown mode and we had to do only remote tournaments. But I think all the local organizers and the different staff and Sylph really made a great way for us to still engage and have great participation. And honestly, without the friendship reduction by Niantic, we wouldn't be able to have these Cups, so thank you to them as well. A big shout out and thank you to all my patrons. I recently expanded my limited patron tier, so I have a lot more patrons now. There's only a few more spots left in the Meta Breaker limited tier, so if you are interested, sign up as soon as possible because those spots will be running out soon, and it probably will be a while before I expand the tiers again in the future. I'll link my Patreon down below if you're interested. Thank you all for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Subscribe for future content, hit that notification bell to get alerted right when I post a new video, and I'll see you all next time.